If you're saving for retirement in 2026, the rules are quietly shifting in your favor. Contribution limits are higher, catch-up opportunities are live, and Roth flexibility is increasing. And a lot of people really have no idea how much they're even allowed to save. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to walk through the exact 2026 limits for IRAs, 401ks, and the most common employer plans, and more importantly, how to make sure that you're not leaving money or flexibility on the table. Before we even look at income limits, let's start with the headline change for 2026. IRA contribution limits are increasing. For those under the age of 50, the annual IRA limit increases to $7,500 in 2026, up from $7,000 in 2025. And for those aged 50 and older, the limit jumps to $8,600 a year thanks to catch-up contributions, compared to $8,000 in 2025. And the reason for catch-up contributions for those 50 and older is pretty logical. Congress recognizes that as you get closer to retirement, you have less time for compounding. Maybe you're feeling a little bit behind, maybe you have a little extra room within your budget, maybe your kids are grown and have moved out of the house, so you can accelerate your contributions, so they give you that opportunity. And that matters a lot because that extra $1,000 or $1,100 consistently invested can ultimately lead to additional income in retirement. And these higher contribution limits apply to both the Roth and the traditional IRA. The contribution limit to both of these accounts is the same, just traditional IRAs don't have income caps in the way that Roth IRAs do. And that brings us to Roth IRA eligibility. The income limits for contributing to a Roth IRA are increasing as well in 2026. In 2026, if you are a single tax filer and your modified adjusted gross income is below $153,000, you are eligible to make the full $7,500 contribution, assuming you're under the age of 50. If your income lands between $153,000 and $168,000, you can do a partial or reduced contribution. And above $168,000 as a single filer, you are not eligible for direct Roth IRA contributions. When it comes to those married and filing jointly, to be eligible for the full contribution, your modified adjusted gross income must be below $242,000. Once you get above $252,000, you are not eligible for direct Roth IRA contributions. And an important reminder, these contribution limits are per person, not per household. So, for a married couple under the age of 50, they would be able to put away $15,000 into Roth accounts. And if we have a married couple, both spouses 50 and older, they would be able to put away $17,200 into Roth accounts, assuming their income made them eligible. Now, yes, Roth IRAs do have income limits for direct contributions, but here's the key message, which I don't want anyone to miss. If your income exceeds these limits, it doesn't mean that a Roth IRA is entirely off the table. You may be eligible through a backdoor Roth IRA strategy, which involves contributing to a traditional IRA and then converting that contribution to a Roth. This strategy does come with rules, and honestly, it deserves its own dedicated video, so we'll save that for another time. I want to zoom out for a moment because this is where I think Roth IRAs and even traditional IRAs don't get nearly enough credit. Because IRAs are not tied to any employer, they're only tied to your income, which means you are in full control. You can choose the provider, the brokerage house, the investments, the entire strategy. This is one of the few retirement accounts where you literally control every single lever. And because of that flexibility, these accounts are incredibly powerful. And this is why I believe you should never miss an opportunity to have your own IRA, even if you have access to a wonderful employer-sponsored plan. Now, let's take a moment to talk about one of my favorite planning opportunities, especially for parents. If you have a teenager and they have earned income, you can open a Roth IRA for them. And if you contribute small amounts, even a couple thousand, letting that compound for 5 or 6 decades, that is incredibly powerful. $1,000 invested at the age of 15 and left to compound until the age of 65, that's a 50-year runway. That $1,000 could compound to $50,000 or even $100,000 or more, depending on the rate of return you use. And for a lot of families, this is really an incredible teaching tool. Maybe you, as their parent, are the one who actually funds the Roth IRA, and you allow them to keep their earned income. But simply because they have earned income, they gain access to this tax-free growth. This is an incredible compounding tool, and this really is a great opportunity for financial education and a great opportunity for a head start. Another area that's commonly missed is the spousal IRA. If you're married and filing jointly, only one spouse needs to have earned income in order for both spouses to be eligible to contribute to an IRA, whether that's Roth, whether that's traditional. That means a stay-at-home spouse can and absolutely should have their own investments, their own retirement accounts, and their own sense of financial security. You are a team, and just because one spouse stays at home doesn't mean that they should be excluded from the retirement strategy. In my view, the spousal IRA is one of the most underutilized and important tools of retirement planning. One final but critical detail: the IRA contribution deadline is your tax filing deadline, not December 31st. So, if you didn't fully fund your IRA by December 31st, don't panic. You can continue contributing to the prior year's IRA in January, in February, in March, all the way up until your tax filing deadline. And my 2 cents is if you haven't maxed it out, you should continue contributing to the prior year's IRA until you get to your filing deadline. Doing that can give you the opportunity to max out last year's IRA and still leave the door open to fund this year's IRA as well. Maybe your income increases this year. Maybe you gain more flexibility with your budget as the year goes on. You never really know what happens, but by making sure to funnel money to the prior year's IRA first, you leave the door open to maximize your contributions to these accounts. So, the bottom line is to know your deadlines. They matter more than a lot of people think. Now, let's talk about 401k contribution limits for 2026, because this is another area where the contribution limits are going up and some of the rules are evolving. The standard employee contribution is capped at $24,500. For those aged 50 on up, they're eligible to contribute an additional $8,000 per year. For those specifically ages 60 to 63, they're eligible for super catch-up contributions for an additional $11,250 on top of the $24,500 limit. Yes, these are absolutely big numbers, but for high earners and late career savers, they are a great opportunity to accelerate your retirement investments. Let's start with a fairly recent change within the past few years. Employer contributions can go into the Roth side of this account, assuming your plan allows for it and you elect for this as an option. Now, historically, employer contributions were generally made pre-tax, but that is no longer the only option. This shift significantly expanded Roth flexibility, especially for high-income earners. Now, layered on top of that is another Secure 2.0 rule that's taking effect in 2026.